in Alabama. The last one was held last year at the Richard Shower Center in Huntsville, Alabama. Today we got author of the Child Support Hustle, Rahmaan, and we got Carnell Alexander from Detroit here to talk to us about paternity fraud. And to open this up, I just want to ask the people out there, how many of y'all have went to a court case involving child support or child protective services and you got a fair trial? A lot of times you don't get a fair trial, so let's talk about how can all this happen. We have to go back to Title 4D funding under the Social Security Act. And in that act, the federal government would pay the state of Alabama and these local DHR organizations and divisions to carry out child support collection enforcement. The problem with this is the child support collects the money, and of course they pay their employees with it and they put the money into the general fund. But what a lot of people don't know is they take these funds and they pay judges. So people are ending up in front of judges against a party who is paying the judge. This is clearly like a bribe. They should not be using these type of funds to pay judges to take children away from their families. Now we're going to come back, and I'm going to come back and talk again, but I'm going to introduce Rahmaan of the Child Support Hustle, and she's going to talk about how child support is more than a monthly payment.
Hi everybody, thank you for coming out to the Town Hall, the Child Support Hustle Town Hall. Thank you, Marcus, for having us down here in Moulton, Alabama. Thanks to Carnell for coming all the way from Detroit, Michigan. And thanks to my son and my dad for helping me drive. Appreciate y'all. My son for filming. Okay, I want to start off. I'm not as good at public speaking as Marcus is, so I had to write mine down. So bear with me, and we're going to get started. It's so simple for those who are not involved with the child support system to believe that it's only about making a monthly payment just to support your child. But we have to go all the way back to 1975. The former President Ford launched the child support program under the Title 4D of the Social Security Act. Things were very different then, and according to NPR, some of those things were that laws permitting no-fault divorces, meaning that the dissolution of marriage did not require a showing of any wrongdoing by either party, that was being passed across the nation. There was a rapid increase in divorce. The child support system was implemented to try to replicate what a household looked like prior to divorce as far as the children's well-being. The father provided income for the children while the mothers retained full physical custody. Mothers would use all the resources to provide from the father. Times have changed significantly since then, and the child support system, along with the welfare system, were reformed under former President Clinton and a bipartisan support. But to the child support system, the changes implemented were arguably illegal and unconstitutional, mostly the fathers. Of course, it affected mothers too, but mostly fathers. I'm going to discuss just a few issues that people aren't aware of, that they should be aware of as we continue our fight for child support reform. The first issue is in regards to the amount of child support orders and how they often are only based on the non-custodial parent's income, often leave that parent without money to provide for their basic needs. This is something that should have changed based on the Federal Register final rule, which was called Flexibility, Efficiency, and Modernization in the Child Support Program, which was released December 20th, 2016. The federal government decided, based on statute 302.56, that the guidelines for setting child support orders state in part that the state must establish one set of guidelines by law or by judicial and administrative action for setting and modifying child support orders within the state, amounts within the state that meet the requirements in this section. Section C states that the child support guidelines under paragraph A, at minimum, must provide that the child support order be based on the non-custodial parent's earnings, income, and other evidence of ability to pay. That, number one, takes into consideration all earnings and income of the non-custodial parent, and this is one of the big problems they have this, and at the state's discretion, the custodial parent's information. Number 2, takes into consideration the basic subsistent needs of the non-custodial parent, and again, at the state's discretion, the custodial parent and children who has a limited ability to pay by incorporating low-income adjustments and such as self-support reserve or some other method by the state. And finally, if imputation of income is authorized, it must take into consideration the specific circumstances of the non-custodial parent, and again, at the state's discretion, the custodial parents, to the extent of their what's known, these factors for the non-custodial parent: assets, residence, employment, earning history, job skills, educational attainment, literacy, age, health, criminal record, employment barriers, record of seeking work, as well as the local job market, availability of employers willing to hire the non-custodial parent, prevailing earnings in that local community, and other relevant background factors in the case. Prior to this federal registry, nearly none of these factors were being considered. They were just imputing income based on anything. Whatever they thought you were supposed to earn, that's what they were putting the income at. All these factors were ignored. And this is the reason, one of the reasons why child support orders were set way higher than what the non-custodial parent actually earned or could afford to pay, and this is reflected when you look at arrears versus current support owed. In 2018, the Federal Office of Child Support reported there was $33 billion owed in current child support, while they reported over $118 billion owed in arrears. Next, I want to talk about the punishments executed against non-custodial parents when they cannot pay the monthly support. When a parent misses a payment for any reason, not only does the debt continue to accumulate, he or she is faced with the following enforcements. There's financial punishments, which include income withholding. This is according to the Office of Federal Child Support Enforcement. There's a levy on financial accounts, interception of state and or federal income tax refunds, withholding other one-time or reoccurring federal payments such as retirement, salary payments to vendors or contractors, and other federal payments. As far as mobility is concerned, they deny passports. Many people can contract overseas to get jobs, which without a passport, they can't leave this country, so they can't work. And they also suspend licenses. They include driver's license, occupational license, so if you're a barber, a doctor, they'll take your license. You can't earn any money because you can't work in your field. As a recreational license, Marcus often references the fishing license. If you fish to eat and they take your license, you literally can't feed yourself. If that's your only means, if you don't work, you don't have any money, and you go to the lake to fish, you can't do it because they took your license. As far as public record is concerned, they set liens on your property. They report child support debt to the credit bureaus, which will hinder, if not prohibit, renting of housing, purchasing a vehicle, which is very critical in rural areas because not every place has public transportation to get to and from work. So you need a vehicle. And it also stops people from getting hired in certain jobs. Federal government, I know for sure, does a background check, and credit is one of the things that they check. If it comes back that you have child support on your credit report, there's a big chance that you're not going to get hired. So these are all these punishments that they put, enforcement tactics that they put in place that will hinder a non-custodial parent. They also, child support agencies use public shaming in an attempt to collect child support debt. Arizona decided in 2016 that it would start posting mugshots on Twitter with the names and amount of child support debt owed by so-called deadbeats. Kentucky partnered with local pizza restaurants to add photos of parents that were late or delinquent on their child support payments on the top of the pizza boxes. So when they were delivered out or picked up by the customers, all these mugshots went out to their customers. Both of these methods could prove harmful to the overall well-being of children, but as usual, money is more important to the government than the well-being of the children. Another issue that I want to discuss is the fact that incarceration is a punishment that is used even when parents cannot afford, even when parents do not have the ability, even when parents do not have the ability to pay the debt. He or she can be held in a county jail without any way out unless they literally buy their freedom. The judges won't take payment arrangements in most cases, nor does their time served reduce the amount of debt allegedly owed by the parent. In many states, they can also be charged with a felony. In states like Florida, Mississippi, and Oregon, a parent can be sentenced to 5 years behind bars, while in Idaho, a parent can be in prison for 14 years for failure to pay child support. In Indiana, where a father and fellow advocate, Ryan Kelly, who recently took his own life after many years of dealing with the unconstitutional child support system, he could have faced between 6 months and 8 years in prison and been forced to pay a fine of $10,000 in addition to any child support arrears that he was accused of owing. Finally, one of the most overlooked issues, and this is in my opinion, is when people talk about child support and they don't include visitation issues, which are purposely separated because the government generates more money by separating child support and visitation than they do by if they would include both of these issues. And that has grown an epidemic called parental alienation, and it's keep growing and they keep ignoring it. The reason for it, there is more revenue generated for the government and private companies when these issues are decided separately than considered as one. However, for those who have new child support orders, there has been a change in how child support and visitation are decided. But before I discuss that, I want to say, again, if there is any way that parents can raise and support their children outside of the child support system, I strongly encourage you to do so. No government interference, just try to do it that way. Unless there's involvement in welfare programs, participation in the child support system is completely voluntary. Even if you're getting a divorce and you have to go through the court system, tell the judge that you don't want a child support order or agreement to go through the court system. The government makes money based on your open case. And for the new fathers out there, never put yourself on child support. And never let anyone talk you into putting yourself on child support. You can take care of your kids without a child support order. Back to the child support orders and visitation. As part of former President Obama's fiscal year 2014 budget, he requested $448 million over 10 years to support increased child visitation services. The statute specifies certain activities that may be funded, which included voluntary and mandatory mediation, counseling, education, the development of parenting plans, supervised visitation, neutral drop-off and pickup, the development of guidelines for visitation, and alternative custody arrangements. The funding is separate from funding for federal and state administration of child support programs. The proposal also requires states to establish access and visitation responsibilities in all initial child support orders, just as custody arrangements are typically settled at the same time divorces are finalized. Federal resources are made available to states that choose to include parenting time responsibilities in initial child support orders that began in fiscal year 2014. All states are required to include parenting time responsibilities in all new child support orders, and that began in fiscal year 2019, which is officially October 1, 2018. These services, and this according to the Federal Child Support Agency, these services will not only improve parent-child relationships and outcomes for children, but they will also result, which is their bottom line, improved collections. Unfortunately, when reviewing the child support applications for the new case process, there was no language in the 3 states that I looked at, there was no language to suggest that parenting time responsibilities or arrangements are now being mandated, included in child support orders. In fact, Indiana's application stated in part that the parent understands that child support services do not is in all caps, include establishment or enforcement of parenting time or parenting time credits. California's child support website stated that their offices cannot handle custody and visitation matters, and that's under their page, their Q&A page under what can't child support services do for me. And my home state of Ohio's website states that child support does not determine custody for children nor negotiate visitation rights. Completely contradicting what's supposed to be mandated now in all new child support orders. Due to the lack of accountability within the child support and family court systems, even though the statute has gone into effect last year, the states are refusing to incorporate language to their application process to let parents know that are new to the system know that parenting plan options are available to them during the child support order establishment process. Even though it's been proven repeatedly that regular contact with both parents is in the best interest of the children. So in conclusion, these are just a few issues that non-custodial parents are forced to endure when dealing with the child support and family court systems. And as you all can see from this short presentation, child support is much more than just a monthly child support payment. Unfortunately, all too often when parents try to voice their concerns, they are ignored. When they cannot afford to pay, they are punished. And when they attempt to see their children, they are alienated. All occur with no accountability from the overseers of the child support system, and this is the reason these atrocities are allowed to continue. We must continue to make our voices heard together. Let your brothers and sisters in the fight know that they are not alone, and neither are you. Let's work together to ensure that the child support system is not given one more opportunity to add another parent to the already long list of casualties by their hands and from their guidelines. I want to say rest in peace to Ryan Kelly and all the other parents who have felt that they could not fight this evil child support machine for one more excruciating second. If you are having any thoughts of suicide, please call 1-800-273-8255. Now, I shout out to my dad because it's something I always say, but he says time to step the numbers up. Remember, they can ignore hundreds, they can ignore thousands, but they cannot ignore millions. Let's go. Thank you.
Before I bring Carnell Alexander on, he's going to talk about fraternity fraud, and I can talk about a case that happened around here too, a case happened with me. And so I understand where he's coming from. He's going to tell you about his story, an amazing story, and just shocking how they can do it in the system. Now, what people need to find out about their child support system is we need to find out how much are these local DHR budgets dependent upon Title IV-D funding. Because like the state of Alabama gets funded from the federal government, they get a flat rate of money each year to carry out this child support, but they also get bonuses. They get bonuses for bringing in more money than they did last year. They get a bonus. They get a bonus if they register more cases than they did the previous year. They even get bonuses for issuing warrants. There is money to be made if they can issue a warrant on somebody. And we're here in Alabama, close to the county over that's one of the worst in the state, which is Morgan County. In Morgan County, you have young men who get arrested while owing arrears back time. They have a job, the money's coming out, but they bring you into court for these arrears payments, which basically is extortion. So your family and you have to come up to keep your freedom. And if you got a job, they'll put you in a job program where you can go to work, but you have to stay in jail, and you have to do that for 90 days. The problem I find with that is when a person's on work release for child support, they're still being charged that interest each month, number one. Number two, that child support here in Alabama will take 35% of your pay, and the jail will take 28% of your pay. But we all know the federal government provides money, the state and federal government provide money for their prisoner to be in jail. So they're not double dipping, they're triple dipping. The child support's getting their money, the jail's getting money, and the jail's receiving money from the state for the inmate being incarcerated. So the thing we need to find out is, in these local courts, does your local DHR give any money to the judges, because the judges are state elected officials, and their salary is set by the state legislature, and they should not be receiving any type of money from DHR, none at all. Their salary is already paid. So this amounts to a bribe. You can't win when you go to court and one party is paying the judge. It's almost impossible. I'm going to bring Carnell Alexander up, and he's going to tell us a little bit about fraternity fraud. It happens way more often than we realize, but his case is a unique case.
I'm a native of Detroit, Michigan, by way of Alabama. My family raised, my father was raised here, Leader Hatchet, Alabama, so I feel like I'm an Alabamaman too, okay? But like he said, I have a unique story. And before I begin my story, let me put this on the record. Across America, and to the young lady that's here, I'm not against child support. I have 2 kids of my own, one deceased, one is living. I have no child support case, no child support issues. But somewhere in my younger years, I was dating a female who waited till I got incarcerated on a completely different issue, and she needed child support for her kids. So what she did was went down to the state of Michigan and told them that she needed this child support and that I was the child's father. So some 30 years ago, I got locked into this child support issue about a kid that's not mine. I'm fighting the government with the help of the Child Support Hustle. Great organization to be a part of. I'm so glad that I was able to unite with them and we fight these issues. One, we need to talk to our legislators about this. The courts are not listening because, as Marcus said, they're getting paid from the system. So we don't care what y'all say. So we need to motivate and prepare people that when they go into our state offices, that they are to look at this issue for what it really is. Because for one, if they were really about child support, our community schools and recreation centers, at least where I live, wouldn't be in the condition that they're in. How can you not give a child free lunch? But you talking about you a child support agency. You take some of that money and donate it to the school system if they can't cover that lunch bill. In any bill, as far as that matter, they allow a woman to come into their office and file for child support. They place this bill on the man's back. Why can't the man go in there and say, hey, I'm not able to pay for my children, I need a Medicaid card, I need a bridge card, I need a couple dollars until I can do better and I'll pay you back. Why do we have to get a 4-year felony? The scale's not balanced when you look at the situation for what it really is. It's about money. Right now, the state of Michigan owes me $32,000 because they frauded me in the name of child support. Let me take it back. The young lady filed, and she told a lie that I was her child's father. The state of Michigan sent out a process server who said he talked to me at my father's front door, and I was incarcerated in prison some 2 hours away from my father's front door. So literally impossible for me to be there. So with all of these facts that I have, and a letter written from the Michigan State Attorney General, why aren't you refunding our money back for the men who are found not to be the father? I have other men on my team, or not on my team, but in my presence that's fighting with me. Reggie Whitlow, Anthony Sims. These men are in debt in their own personal lives, but you're taking their money, applying it to a child that's not theirs. So when you really look at this child support issue for what it really is, it's about taking advantage of a situation that you have power, or you feel you have power. Let me not say, because they powerless. If we really do our homework and understand what I've learned in the last 4 years, we pay that system. It is supposed to work for us, not for them. And that's why I say we need to get out and groom and educate our legislators. If you don't ask for my vote, to go up in this office, then you gotta fight this issue so that we can get men back to work. There's so many men in America running from work. So they call them sorry, they call them deadbeat dads, whatever you might want to call them. But they only running because you're taking advantage of them. I think all the men who go to work tomorrow, if they had a fair shot at working with that system. But the system don't want to work fairly because they making money. It ain't about kids. You know what I'm saying? And just to piggyback on a couple of things that were said earlier, if it was so important to put men in prison for not feeding their kids, why don't we ask the kids? Do anybody in here think that their kids gonna say, yeah, I want my daddy to go to jail because we can't get no hamburgers tonight? You would rather your dad go out and find the hamburgers, wouldn't you? You wouldn't rather him be locked up 15 minutes after he left the house because he got stopped by the police and he have a child support warrant. He don't have a job. How can he pay it? But you chasing him from the job because if he get a job, who eats $700 worth of food a week? That's what some people has told me they're paying for child support. One of my coworkers just told me he's paying $650 a month for child daycare by himself. Not him and the child's mother. So why isn't she paying half of that? And no disrespect to my women. I love our women. I couldn't imagine having a baby. I couldn't imagine carrying a baby maybe 9 months. So I know the pain that they take to be a mother. But we gotta, like Kenya said, we gotta find a bridge of common ground, common sense to make this thing work for the families. Not for the government to make money off of the family and destroy the family. And I just want to throw a statistic out here because I'm a community activist in Detroit and we keep these type of statistics. It's 64, I want to say, 1,000 women missing in America. How many of those are child support issues? How many men got frustrated and couldn't control themselves? How many men were victims of child support fraud like me and didn't have the patience like me to roll it out? I don't know where the end is, but thanks to Marcus, thanks to Kenya and the child support hustle, I'm willing to go 100 million miles to get there. However long it takes, we're gonna fight this thing until we can't fight no more, because that's all we got. But it's educational that needs to be taught to this. I can see here, and I really didn't tell a lot of my story because my story ain't important no more. It's time to get to the legislators and get to what's really going on with this money that y'all collected, that our communities are in a disarray and there's no support. Kids are killing us, at least in my city. 23-year-old died down the street from me yesterday. Okay, so here's where we need to draw the line and come together. Like she said, as a mother and as a father, for your child, let's work together. We work together to make it. Let's work together to take care of it. And if they need me to come back, I will, but that's what I got to say to you all and to America right now. Let's work together for the children of America, for the school system of America, for the education of America, for recreation. Simple plan on the streets. Child support should, as much money as they get, 66% off a dollar, they should support the police department. They should support it. This is Carnell Alexander back again. I forgot to allow y'all the information to know that I have a foundation called the Carnell Alexander Foundation. And for any man or man in America that finds itself accused of being a child's father and you don't think it's yours, or you're sure it's not yours, I'm paying for DNA tests. In the city of Michigan, in the state of Michigan, it costs $550. I don't know what it might cost in your state for you to get it legally accepted by the court. But in our state, it costs $550. I provide that service to you to be a part of what we're doing here to clear this up so that we can live in peace. Because we will never live in peace with us fighting over kids and bills about our kids. It confuses the kid, and we must stop this. So get in contact with me. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter. My website is down. It's been down for a minute, but I'm going to get it back up and running. And let's do something about this, y'all. Thank you. And I appreciate being here in Moulton, Alabama, speaking with you.
Colleges agree that you get better outcomes with kids when kids have two involved parents in their lives. But what we have is, because there's so much money to be made, is we got judges and caseworkers picking winners and losers among parents so they can go for the greatest dollar. And all this does is create division. It clogs up the court system. All these child support laws are doing nothing but clogging up the court system and causing division in our society. So the next child support hustle town hall, we're talking about Detroit and some other places, and I definitely want to get up there to that. But we want to encourage everybody to visit the Child Support Hustle at www.thechild-support-hustle.com. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, of course, and also YouTube. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel and go get the book and sign the petition. We're trying to reform child support.
I just want to thank you all again for tuning in and showing up, and appreciate everything. And again, like Marcus said, please sign our petition. You can go to our website, thechild-support-hustle.com. If you need any help with your case, we also advocate for parents, non-custodial parents. So you can go to our website and fill out a new client form. And if we can't help you, we will. We do not charge, but we do ask that you share the message. If you can volunteer your time, if you can make a donation, that helps us help you guys and continue the fight. Like Marcus said, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram. You can buy a shirt, you can buy a book, and all proceeds are going back to the movement. So, and we have a bill to end debtor prisons that we have lobbied Texas, the state of Texas, and we want to lobby the bill everywhere around the nation. So if you're interested in setting up meetings with your legislators, please let us know, and we can send you a copy of a bill specific to your state. So our email cshustle1@gmail.com. Appreciate you all. Thank you for the continued support. Thank you, Carnell, for coming out. And if you're in Detroit, get ready, because we're going to be there. We're going to focus a lot on grandparents' rights, along with attorney fraud and child support hustle.